What's up, guys? Okay, so we are here at the launch of the all-new Samsung S22 and the Tab S8 here in Singapore. Of course, this is an embargoed event. By the time you're watching this video, it is live. We can talk about it. So we've been introduced to the all-new phones, the S22 Ultra, S22 Plus, and S22, as well as the Tab S8. And first impressions, we'll talk about the S22 Ultra because this is going to be the one that's going to surprise most people. So first impressions, we're going to go through every single spec because you probably watched the keynote and you can read the website. We'll talk about some of the things that stood out to us. And then of course, we'll do some other videos getting into gaming, photography, editing, all that great stuff with a lot of these products. So let's talk about some of the standout features. First and foremost, the S Pen and the S22 Plus. It's here, it's just like the Note series. It's been redesigned and it is fantastic. And I'm actually kind of glad they did this because it was always sort of this weird situation where you had the Galaxy phones that would come out in the beginning of the year, then the Note would come out and sort of trump the Galaxy line. And you'd be like, well, what happened to my Galaxy S20 or 21? Well, it's all now in one phone, which does make a lot of sense. This S Pen has been enhanced. You get 2.8 milliseconds in terms of latency. That is down 70% from 9 milliseconds where it was previously. So this is a big, big difference. And in terms of my usability on it, I mean, it's fast, it responds really well. I tried a little bit of drawing, a little bit of writing. I haven't really got into too much depth with this yet, but there is a noticeable difference. Is it as big as you might be thinking? Actually, not quite, but you do notice it in the handwriting for me, at least in the most part. And I think for a lot of you out there that are into drawing, Procreate, if you want to do any sort of sketching and shading, things like that, that sensitivity will definitely come into play. Now let's talk about the size of the phone. Now the Ultra is the big boy of the family, okay? Rightfully so, but it feels very good in the hand and the display is not curved on the sides. Even though the phone is curved, the display is flat, which is very nice because when you want to use the S Pen, you don't want the pen to be falling off on the edges like it used to do on the previous Note versions. Samsung, of course, has fixed this and then they've stayed to this flatter design on the top screen, which is welcomed. The display, let's talk about this amazing AMOLED display. You got 120 Hz refresh rate or 60 Hz, you can change or it can adapt on its own, and it gets up to 1,750 nits of brightness outdoors. Inclusive with AI, you're gonna see this in bright sunlight. I can tell you right now, we're shooting video with this thing, we have to turn the brightness all the way down on this. It is super bright, the colors are vibrant, it is an awesome display. Samsung's always made some of the best displays on the market, and it is right here in the S22 Ultra. Now, in terms of the processor, we have the all-new Snapdragon 8th Gen 1 on this. Now, there's been a lot of benchmarking back and forth of how good this is versus, other options out there in the market. I can tell you, just from my initial hands-on, it is lightning quick. It responds very well, no lag, no issues opening up apps. Again, we are using pre-production phones, so when we get a production unit in our hands, we'll run through more of the benchmarks, the specs, we'll do gaming, editing, all that great stuff for you guys out there. But I can tell you that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 is actually a very impressive chipset. And here in Singapore, where we used to get the Exynos processor, we're actually getting the Snapdragon in our country. So that is a big deal for Singapore users. So I'm glad that they transitioned to that. Let's talk about some of the AI features inside of this phone. Samsung's really building AI into this 4th nanometer processor, the Snapdragon 8th Gen 1. And that comes into photography, videography, it comes into the way that you use the S Pen, and just battery life and security, all those things come into play. And you do notice it here and there. And I have to say with the photography aspect, this is something with the Samsung phones previously I always felt was a little bit lacking in terms of detail, or I figured wasn't doing so well in low light. That has now changed in this Ultra and also the S22 Plus and S22. And especially with this 108 megapixel sensor in this, it is working very, very well. And the low light for video looks great. The autofocusing is lightning quick. The transition is got a nice focus rack to it, so it doesn't look like a digital zip, zip, zip kind of a thing. If you're transitioning from a subject to another subject, it gives you a nice sort of cinematic look to it. And it does resolve really well, at least on this display. Now, we haven't taken the files off these phones. We can't do that yet. But when we do so, I'm excited to see how they look on a larger display. And of course, when we put it into our final review video. But besides that, let's talk about the differences between the Ultra and of course the S22 and S22 Plus. The Ultra's got the 108 megapixel camera. That's the main camera on this. Then you have two telephoto lenses as well. You have a laser autofocusing system in this. You can look at the back of this thing. It is absolutely stacked. But when you go into the S22 Plus and 22, instead of 108, you have a 50 megapixel sensor. Then of course 12 megapixel for your wide and your telephoto. So those are some of the main differences. So if you are a camera person, you're a video person, you want the best of the best, you got to spring for the Ultra, okay, in the Samsung world. But if you are okay with just, look, I take some photos, some video once in a while, but I just want something a little bit smaller, something a little bit more, you know, easy to carry around, then I would say go for the S22 Plus or S22, depending on what you want. You're still gonna get that same power, that same Snapdragon processor inside of all these phones. It just varies on the cameras and those features that are inside of them. That's pretty much it in the nutshell thus far. But what we're gonna do now is we're actually gonna take a look at the all-new Tab S8, which is very, very impressive. Oh, it's like a 14-inch display. It looks awesome. It looks like a laptop replacement. So Zachy and I are gonna take that through his paces and our first impressions, and we'll let you know what that's like right now.
Here at Geek Culture, we love our keyboards, especially with the all-new Logitech MX Keys Mini. An elegant and functional keyboard, its ultra-responsive rounded keycaps are super stable and quiet for more productivity. There are buttons to enable dictation, microphone audio control, and emojis. The backlit keys illuminate when you get close and matches the lighting of the environment you're in. It lasts up to 10 days on a full charge or 5 months with the backlights turned off. To find out more about the Logitech MX Keys Mini and their latest range of products, head over to logitech.com.
All right, guys, so now we are looking at the all-new Tab S8 Ultra, 14.6-inch display for a tablet. How awesome is that? Basically a laptop replacement for a lot of you out there. You want the ultimate Ultrabook? Basically, this is it. You got the attachment to the keyboard, you got a trackpad which is very responsive, S Pen storage in the back, and that same latency that we had on the S22 Ultra, that 2.8 milliseconds in terms of latency, is on this S Pen as well here. But looking at this display, this AMOLED display, 120 Hz refresh rate, is absolutely awesome to see in person. You're not going to notice it here on a YouTube video at all, but when you get it in front of you, it looks amazing to see it. And I think for a lot of creators out there, if you're into, let's say you can edit on LumaFusion now, that's available here on Android. You can edit your videos, your photography, you want to draw. This is going to be a tablet a lot of you are going to gravitate towards in the Android ecosystem. And I think Samsung's done a tremendous job with this. Of course, it is DeX compatible. It can sync with your phone and your tablet as well. So if you're working on your, let's say your S22 Plus, Ultra, or 22 for that matter, you can sync your content over here to the tablet, of course, depending on the app that you're using. But I just love the overall design. It is super thin. The bezels are very thin as well. I think it's only like 6 millimeters, something like that. It is very thin. And this is a really awesome tablet to use. So I think for our full video review on this, we're gonna do some editing on LumaFusion on this, because I've used LumaFusion on the iPad, but to go on this with a 14.6-inch display with the S Pen is going to make my life so much easier. Because when you do get into edits, you want to, really go into the sound files, into your waveforms, and you also want to edit your clips and your transitions. You really need to dig deep, but you want a nice large display for that. And that's where this is going to come in handy. You artists out there, the same thing as well. The key travel on this feels really good. Really nice key travel to this. Also, what's new on this tablet is dual front camera support. So you can go more close up or more wide angle. Depending, if you're in a conference call, you can do that. Also mic isolation as well. So if you're in a room full of kids, they're screaming and yelling, parents, you know what I'm talking about, you're working from home, can't keep the kids from talking too loud, there's isolation on that as well. So that is another attribute that is really cool to this. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the all new Galaxy S22, S22 Plus, and 22 Ultra, and of course the Tab S8 Ultra. We're gonna be doing a deep dive into a lot of these products: videography, photography, gaming, video editing, content creation. We're gonna be doing with all these products. So do stay subscribed to the channel for those videos that do come out in the very near future. But I gotta say, I mean, Samsung's come out guns a-blazing in 2022, and it's gonna be a very exciting year for the tablet and smartphone categories. So with that, guys, new content coming. Take care, stay safe, and we will chat to you soon. Take care.